Today's
this
love
energy
protection
into
level
your
is
life.
77.
Drop your name
You're
in
in
the
love with
comments.
someone who
I
seems
wanna
to have
pray for
mixed
you.
feelings about you.
This message is for
What to me?
someone who's been silently
You mean the
struggling,
world to me.
asking God for a sign,
But here's the
for
truth.
an answer.
She's
And
ignoring
guess
you
what?
for a reason.
He heard you.
Now
Now
but
do
don't
this.
lie.
Tap
Don't
the share
betray.
arrow
And don't
and look at
act
your
like
third
$1 million
contact.
will
If
fall
it's a
into
woman,
your account
that's your
incredibly.
confirmation that
But be
this
careful
word is
if
meant
you
for
ignore
you.
this video.
Come back and
Bad
comment
news
it's
will
me.
rule count.
Here's
You
what's
must
coming.
press the button
First,
below my
a
photo
transformation
and write
in
it
your
come
mind.
back together.
You'll
And it
stop
will be a
overthinking.
beautiful and
You'll start
inseparable
believing in
A
yourself
woman
again.
moving in with
God
you
is
means
renewing
nothing.
your thoughts.
There is a
Second,
woman in
the
your
guilt
family,
you've been carrying,
someone you
it's gone.
trusted.
Doesn't
You've
keep
done
a
enough.
woman.
You
Spending
don't
time
owe
with her
anyone
doesn't keep a
anything.
woman. You
May take
God
you
is
on
lifting
trips,
that weight
buy
off
you
your
things,
shoulders
and
tonight.
shower you with gifts.
As you sleep,
Conversation and
a
texting
prophetic
first.
release is
9
happening
out
over
of
your
10
life.
times.
Peace is coming. Favor is coming. And your breakthrough is closer than you think.
Now do this.
So, like
Tap
this
the
video,
share arrow
follow me,
and look at your
Out
hold your
yours.
head high.
It's
'cause the
confusing
shift
how
has
our connection
already
changes all the time.
Not because I wanted
Skip
to.
this video
I
if
never
you
wanted
love
to
the
let
devil.
you go.
If you love Jesus,
Flicker when the
stay
lights
on
go
this
out.
video.
You can't compete with
Now,
me
if
because
you
I've
skip,
already failed.
Satan will enter your
Susceptible.
home today,
That
and I
pollutes a
won't be able to help
relationship
you.
and
I'm
breaks
here to
good
remove
communication.
evil
To
from
keep
your
choosing
life.
you.
But if you don't
I still
stay,
think about
you'll be
you, though.
committing a grave sin.
This message is
and
for
something
someone
very
who's
bad
been
might happen to
silently
you.
struggling.
Are you home, my child?
But whatever it
Stay
was,
until the end.
she chose him over you.
There is someone who
I
wants
love
to see you
smarter.
fail.
Now I protect
I
my
didn't want to
peace.
say it like this.
Now
but
I
this
don't
person
beg.
wants to see you struggling.
Not just empty
Listen
words.
carefully to what I have
Show
to tell you,
it.
my child.
The other will be
You
there
will
for
deeply regret
support,
it if you
not
skip,
distance
because
themselves.
this person
Number
will bring
five.
great harm
Convenient.
to you.
I
will
saw
tell
the
you
good
who
in
this
them,
person is.
even when
Deeply
I want to
regret it
protect
if you
from
skip,
their evil.
because this person
Do
will
you
bring
see
great
these
harm
4
to you.
buttons
On the side. If you want me to enter your home and remove all the
Zum
evil
letzten
inside,
Punkt kommen.
you need to
Liked
click on
dieses
all the
Video
buttons
und
so I know you
abonniert,
accept
denn
me
wir
as
Everything
your house.
changes.
If
She'll
you
either
don't
grow
do
up
it means you want Satan
go.
to take control of your life.
No.
I won't
Do the
force
following.
you to click anything, but
Look
if you
at the
don't,
clock.
But you
must
will be
leave this
safe
video
if you
immediately,
click on the heart
because
next
that
to
means
it.
you do not accept Jesus
They are
Christ.
envious and
Now,
want
I
to
will reveal who
extinguish
this
your
person
light.
is,
pero que viene
but I ask you
directo
to
a
stay
ti.
away from them
Y la
immediately.
tercera,
Cross your fingers.
Tujukan untuk
Click the
Anda.
share button.
Jangan
After
piestan
clicking,
nefnoi.
select the WhatsApp option.
This
that
Your
you
third
changed.
contact has the
But
initial
really,
of the person who wants to see
she's
you
trying to
fail. I'm sure you already know who it is. Isn't that right, my child?
justify what she's doing behind
Write
your
in the
back.
comments, I trust
She
in God.
disappears.
By doing this,
No
God
checking
will
her
command
stories.
his angels to protect you.
No trying to
There's
stay
a man
friends.
angry with you.
And pass this on to
Dark
someone who
hair,
needs it.
wounded heart.
And thinking
But he's
skills,
playing
and
a
not
game.
blindly follow the crowd.
He
When
made a
bad
choice,
habits
and
are
now he's lost,
Number 2.
confused in pain.
You'll be the first one she misses
Stay
when she
right
wakes
here,
up.
because
Two
I'm
people
about
want to
reveal
win
if
you,
he'll come back.
but their intentions are not the same.
But first,
I see a future with you that's filled with laughter,
You feel
shared
his
dreams.
Number
I
4.
know his pride is screaming.
She'll ask you where you go. What
Tres personas de tu hogar serán tocadas. Tú, tu espión, y que han traído conflictos a tu hogar.
Look at the clock.
Las peleas,
pero que viene
Comment the
directo a
exact
ti.
time you saw this
Y la
video.
tercera,
I'll send
y
you a
haz esto
spiritual message
ya.
just for you.
Escribe,
Quisiera te va a
Will he
llegar.
return?
Una cantidad de dinero que ni
Yes, he
siquiera
wants to
esperabas.
apologize.
Aunque ya no camine a
But
tu
something
lado,
still holds him
sigo
back.
deseando lo mejor.
con magia para
Pride,
intentar derribarte.
fear.
Sin embargo,
Maybe someone's
Esa persona
influence.
es tu tercer contando que te sale cuando compartes.
On the heart, then on the share arrow, and look at who is the fifth.
Or days and be with another man. Then it
¿Listo?
Vamos. Presta atención. 1.
You text me when you have
This
time.
message will make you
I
cry,
text you
but
as
you
soon
have
as
to
I see
listen.
your
A permanent position
is,
with a higher salary,
You are the
a
one causing
huge
most
amount.
of your
My
problems.
child, if you want
Because
a
you
better
keep
life,
trying to
you
be
must
good
learn
to everyone
control.
in a world Forget full who of hurt you unreal yesterday. people. But don't
You
forget
keep
those
fixing
who
what you
love you
didn't
and
break.
You think I'll leave you? You keep trusting people who
I
don't
literally
deserve
look
you.
at the pictures of you.
You keep
Someone is
giving your
laughing
heart
at
to
you
those
right
who
now,
only
and
come
you
to
don't
take
even know
advantage
it.
of
If
you.
you think no,
You keep hoping they'll change while they keep breaking you. If you
That's
found
why you
yourself
always feel
watching this
disappointed,
video, it's a
used,
special
and
sign
broken.
for you.
Nothing.
Stop
A man calling you
Stop
his
giving
woman
your
means
peace to
nothing.
people who
A
bring
man
you
giving you a
pain.
baby means
Stop being loyal to people who don't even check on
and their
you.
loyalty.
Stop letting people treat you
Unspoken
like
struggles.
nothing. You
They might
owe
not
yourself
always say
peace.
much,
You
but they're
owe yourself
all I had
protection.
gone through in my
You owe
past.
yourself boundaries.
It took me a long
Be
time to
kind,
Tap the
but
share
don't be
arrow,
blind.
then the green
This world
icon.
is not soft. Be wise. Protect your heart before it's shattered again.
See who
Drop
Drop
is your
100
fourth
in the
contact.
comment if you agree with this
That person
message
will
and join
play a
our
key
community
role.
for more. God bless.
Confidence, money.
Someone is watching
just
you
timing.
closely. But
Even
this
though
time,
everything's
it's
changed,
not about love.
I want you to
It's
know
about
that
money,
I'm still
big money.
And then put
There's
their
a
fucking
person
phone
in
the
your
fridge
life,
and spend
someone
5
with
minutes
power,
looking for it.
someone you will
access,
not be
or
able to kiss
influence,
someone
who's
else without
secretly
tasting
thinking
your
about
loved
giving you
one's
an
pet.
opportunity that could completely change your financial life. Don't scroll
As
away
the
now,
seventh
because
contact
if you
in your
stop
WhatsApp
watching,
list,
you'll miss
after
the sign
sharing-
the
Complain about
universe
how
has been
hard it
trying
is
to
to
give you
find
for
a good
days.
man.
Yes,
But
I'm
when one
about
is
to
right-
reveal who
Because
that
I'm about to
person
share a
is.
life-changing
And even more
revelation.
importantly,
Listen
I'll give
closely.
you the
While you
first
sleep.
initial of their name.
All the
If
money
you're
you
still
spent
here,
last year
it
is
means
coming
this
back.
Like
message
glass.
is meant for you.
But that pain
Nothing
didn't
is
destroy
random.
him.
The timing
It
is
woke him.
divine. But to fully receive this message, you must type 333
Remember,
in the
to
comments.
receive this message,
right
it's
now.
essential to
That's
type
the
the
number
number.
of alignment, abundance,
And I give respect
and confirmation.
to those
I
who
sense
deserve
this
it.
person has noticed
You
your
guide
talent,
their steps,
your effort,
but they
or
copy your
potential.
moves.
But they
Time for
haven't
games.
said anything yet.
Or
They're
for people who
watching,
think they can treat me
waiting.
any way they
Maybe
like.
there's
The
someone
first
in your
letter of the
network,
name of the
or
third
someone you've
person
already spoken
will
to
match
about a
the
dream
first letter.
Sending
or a
an
plan.
extraordinary
And now
blessing.
they're about to come forward.
One that holds the
they may
power
offer
to
you a
evade.
job, a deal,
You're not
a
just
gift,
my friend.
or an
You're
investment.
my love.
But it won't come as
It
luck.
doesn't matter if
it's
you
a
skipped
reward
all the other
for your
videos,
patience, but if
for
you
your
struggling,
struggles,
for
and
staying
ended
on
up
your falling
path.
into temptation,
When you
click the WhatsApp
and
share
did
button. Pay attention
And the
to
last
the
thing I
eighth
wanted
name
was
that
to be a
pops
source
up,
of anguish
because that
in your life.
person will hold the key
And let
to
me
your
surprise
next
you.
financial breakthrough.
A woman
Accept
marrying-
this
Because
message
your
from the
success
universe by
makes her
commenting, I
uncomfortable.
receive this
To
abundance.
The kind
And
that
don't
comes
forget
from
to hit
feeling
the heart
unseen,
and the plus sign
unheard,
on the
or
side, because your money
I will
shift
reveal
is
to you
already on its
everything
way.
she is doing
Two
and
people want
hiding.
to win you,
Thanks for the
but their
message,
intentions
Grandma.
are not the same.
And to be
I will
sure
tell
that
you
this
who is
video-
the best
never
for
made a
you.
mistake.
But
If
before
not,
that,
then
today's
shut
love
up.
protection
People-
level is 77. Type 77 in the comments to strengthen your bond.
We always agree
You
in
have the
public.
heart of an
We can
honest
disagree
person
later
who
in
values
private.
you
It gets
highly
tough.
and wants
That's
a
why you should
stable
never
relationship
beg
with you.
for a place.
If you give them a chance,
That
they will
love,
always
effort, and
respect and
attention,
care for you
love
because they
can't-
truly
especially
like
if
you.
they don't reciprocate it.
Now
7.
let me reveal
Invest
who
in
this
yourself.
person
Next to this until it turns
The second
red and
person
white
you
in the
see when you
comments.
open WhatsApp is the one who
You
truly
break
wants to be
free
with
from
you.
their influence
Someone
today.
has strong feelings for you, but is also
won't,
jealous
I
of you.
receive. And
To
tap
find
the
out
plus
their
sign
initial,
under my
share
photo.
this video.
She's leaving this
After
message to
sharing,
bring comfort to
the
your
first letter
heart
that appears
and
is
to the
their
heart.
initial.
She senses the positive
I don't
energy
understand
around
our
you.
relationship.
To break the bond.
Sometimes we're friends, sometimes
Did I
we're
guess
more.
right?
And
Save
sometimes
this
I'm
video.
just a
Pay
stranger to
attention
you.
it.
1 minute you
I
treat
see
me
that
like
this
I'm
person
special,
really wants-
and the next you act like I don't matter. One day you give me lots of attention,
Flirting you.
and the next day you ignore
As you go
me.
to rest,
Don't
the
play
God of
with my
Israel
feelings
deeply
because
and
you're
wants to be in
unsure
your
about
life.
yours.
I see a very
It's
bright
confusing
future
how our
between
connection
Is to work
changes
for a
all the
salary
time, leaving me
instead of
uncertain.
working for themselves.
I wish things
This
were
is not a
consistent and
coincidence
stable
now for
between
this
us.
money to appear in your
I'm willing
money
to be
will
a
be flowing
friend,
from
something
all
more,
corners.
or step back as a
Everything you
stranger.
are, it's for you.
But the ups and downs
Once
are too
done,
much.
you will put your
I
name in
deserve
the
clarity and
comments.
respect.
memories we've
If you're
created.
unsure about us,
Your
please
presence
talk to
in
me
my life
openly.
is
It's better than leaving me
so
guessing
welcome.
and feeling like an option.
Reflects on her behavior.
They're evil.
I won't be a pawn
now,
in a game
you
of
must
uncertainty.
know who this person is.
Let's either define what we are or go our separate ways.
He feels it too.
My heart
If you don't
deserves more
approve,
than this
I don't
constant
give a
back and
fuck.
forth between
I'm empty,
closeness and
but
distance.
trust me, they're watching. And like I said before,
Congratulations. Tomorrow at 10 a.m., you're set to receive a message bearing great and now I will reveal
If
to
you
you
watch this
who is
video
sitting
and
type the
thinking
lucky
to
number
lose me,
88 in the
respects my
comments.
efforts,
The person you
and is proud
admire
to have
will
me.
contact
High on
you
showing
tomorrow.
others how much she loves you.
There's someone,
2,
possibly
a girl who
far
lives
away,
It's
who
unique.
often thinks of you
Our
and
love
wants to
is
start a
deep and
serious
unwavering.
relationship
She will
because
do it
they
in a very
truly care
disgusting and
want to be
hurting way
close to you.
possible. Yes, that's what happened male
This
psychology
person has
and
been
learn game
considering
with
you
my
for some
female
time,
psychology
and
series.
you probably
Safety, not
already
survival.
know who they are, right?
A love that lifts you.
You might feel unsure
Wait,
about
don't
connecting
leave.
with
Listen
them
to
now.
this. A serious
I'll prove that
relationship
this
is
message
coming.
is indeed
Maybe
for
this
you.
video will reach
Hit
millions,
the green share
but it's
button on
for one.
WhatsApp. And
Self.
if the first contact is a person,
7.
you're in for good
It's
fortune.
okay.
life is full of problems. Every day we face challenges,
to share the
difficulties,
sixth
and
person
obstacles.
who appears.
But remember this,
And what you want to do
no
for the
problem
rest of
is
your
permanent.
life. The big
Problems
Imagines
come come and go.
conversations you haven't
They
had yet.
rise and fade.
He hides it.
Just like
From
storms
the moment
in the
we
sky.
met, you've carved out
But
a
life
unique
itself
space in
is
my life.
permanent. Life continues. It moves forward.
But for you,
And it's much bigger
I'm
than
just
any
another
single
task
problem.
on your list.
So face every
keep your eyes
problem with
open,
confidence.
your heart ready, and
Believe
your
in
mind.
yourself.
you will
stay
realize
strong,
that losing a loyal
and never
person
let
is the
temporary struggles
1 minute you treat me
control
like
your
I'm
permanent
special,
life.
and the next you act like
Smile.
I
His heart truly
Stay
belongs.
positive and enjoy your journey.
step you take,
Because
no matter how
life is
small,
meant to be
brings you
lived,
closer
not
to your
feared.
dream.
Trusting the wrong people believing their words.
Listen to high and start building the foundation. You don't leave just because you're not
respect you. She'll begin to take a longer time to respond to you.
Give to this video
child,
will be reciprocated.
No one can destroy
I know
you
this because
your
they are
life
the
is in
button
God's
above my
hands.
photo and then click on the
Yes,
heart icon here
people may
to
try.
make it real.
They may lie,
Contact, their initial
gossip,
matches the name
block
of the
you,
woman who
or
tried to
even
sell
walk
how to
away.
live without you, my brother.
But they will fail
Men often
because
think,
your destiny
oh,
is not in their control.
most? Do
God
you know
is your
what it feels
protector,
like to
not
give your
man.
heart?
The day you bury your
You
mother,
don't need to explain yourself
when
to
it
people
strikes
who
you
will
like a
never
blade to-
understand your journey. You don't have to fight every battle because
Come
God
this far,
fights for you
and
in
now
silence.
I will tell you.
He sees what
If
you
you
don't
want to-
see,
You are
he hears what
a
you
rock
don't
star.
hear, and he shuts down
Because
every
you
plan
are.
made
Let's
against
face
you
this
before
together.
it touches you.
Talk it out.
Yes, life will
find a way
test
to
you.
take him for granted.
Yes,
He's not just
people
another
may
guy.
disappoint you.
He's rare. He's
But
the
when God
peace
is
is
in
more
charge,
important than
the
proving
same
your
pit
point.
they dig for you
You
becomes
stop
their
chasing.
trap.
Take your fake-ass
The same
opinions,
stone they
your
throw at you
two-faced
builds your
gossip,
throne.
and your pathetic...
The same attack against you turns into your testimony. So stop living in fear. Stop begging for validation.
Not because
You
I
belong
wanted
to the Most High
I
God.
never wanted to let you go.
In His hands,
But
delays
One
turn
minute you
into
treat me like I'm
redirection,
special,
pain becomes
and the
power,
next you act like
and
I
every
don't...
battle becomes proof of God's glory in your life. My child,
Calling
don't
you right
forget
after
to
you
always
type
pray every
amen
day.
in the comments and
Remember
click the
that
button
prayer is your weapon,
We could easily
your
lose
shield,
each other
and your
from each other's
connection to God's
traumas
power.
and anger.
She is a woman.
Thank you for watching.
Justice begins.
Now I pray for you
If it is
today.
a
out of my
May
life.
God grant your
My heart
desires.
isn't here to be stomped on every
May
time
He
you
heal you
feel...
of every sickness and disease.
remember, you've got the
May
power
God
to keep
bless you
negative
and
energy.
lift you
You
and cause
belong
you
to the Most
prosper.
High.
May your
When your
enemies
life is
fail,
in...
and may your destiny
call
shine brighter and brighter
and text
in
you
Jesus'
as
name.
many...
Manifest it with
Comment
faith
amen
and declare it boldly.
and save this video.
They are
Look
envious
closely.
and want to
Check
extinguish
who
your
is
light.
the first
if it is.
contact that appears on your
First
WhatsApp.
revelation, an unexpected
Because
amount of
I have
Put in
something
the
to
effort.
tell you about that person.
If they're okay
Something
with
you
going
may
weeks
not
with...
even imagine.
1 minute you treat me like I'm special,
First,
and the
follow
next
me
you
so we
act
don't
like
lose
I...
this
someone who
connection.
needs to hear it.
Then,
Your
tap
peace
on
is
my
more
photo
important
to
than her
activate
apology.
this message.
Because silence
Now,
is louder than any words she
Open
ever
the
said.
first contact on your WhatsApp list. I have a very important message for you. That person
Watch
loves
closely.
you.
Trust
They truly
carefully.
care about you.
Then shows
They
up sweet
value
just
and
enough to
respect
reset
you,
your trust.
and would do anything
Says the right-
just to see you happy.
Space.
You never
And
leave
every
their
law that-
thoughts.
You don't
Whether
see it
they're
yet.
working, walking
this
on the
only
street,
moves
or doing
forward
something
if you
else.
tap the-
You
She
are
will always want to
always on
text,
their mind.
call, or see
So
you.
listen to me. Don't
She'll
argue.
start picking fights for
Don't
no reason.
walk away.
She'll
because
say you're
this
not enough.
person is worth it.
72 hours is the
Comment
key.
love below if you want me to send a special energy to strengthen this connection.
You are not
Thank
just
you.
my heart. You are
Before
my
you go to
life.
sleep tonight, I want you
You're
to
not-
hear
I
this
will stop
because
waiting
it's
for
not
your
a
calls.
coincidence that this video
If you stop
found
sending me messages.
Something powerful is about
La
to happen
primera,
in your life,
una
and it
liberación.
starts tonight.
Ese compártelo
God
en
is trying to
WhatsApp.
speak to you. Two
Fíjate
major
bien.
things are about to
El
shift.
primer peso que
But don't
cargas hace
scroll.
tiempo,
The last
¡pum!,
person ignored this,
se va.
and they missed their blessing.
I just
Don't
really
make the
miss
same
your
mistake.
presence. I
The
miss you
Bible
being my
says,
best.
whoever
Contacto que te
rejects a
aparezca
blessing
va a ser la
invites
persona que va
sorrow.
a celebrar
So
contigo.
right now,
The
tap
worst
the heart
part is that this
and
person has
follow me
no
to
intention
lock
of
this
telling you.
energy into your life. Drop your name in the comments. I want to pray for you. This
All of
message
this
is
so
for
she can
someone who's
disappear
been
for hours.
silently struggling.
First, tap the
asking
plus
God
sign
for a
below my
sign
photo
for an
to protect
answer.
your energy.
And
Prophetic
guess
word
what?
of God for your
He heard
life.
you.
I want
Now
you to
do
write in the
this.
comments
Tap
with
the share arrow
Support,
and look at your third
not judgment.
contact. If
Listen
it's a
before-
woman,
There is someone
that's
lying
your
to you,
confirmation that this
and
word
this
is
lie
meant
has been
for
going
you.
on for months.
Come back
Two
and
people
comment,
want to win you,
it's me.
but their intentions
Here's
are
what's
not
coming.
the same.
First, a
When people
transformation
betray
in
you,
your mind.
move
You'll stop
forward.
overthinking.
When
My fiance said, "I'm taking my sister to the concert instead of you. She deserves it more. I bought those tickets for her birthday, so I let her go have fun while I dismantled everything between us. When she came home and saw what I'd done, she lost her mind. Hey Reddit, my fiance decided to take her sister to the concert with the tickets I bought for her birthday. I didn't say anything. Just waited until she left and did what needed to be done. She came home to an empty apartment and a note. Let me back up a bit so you understand how I ended up here. Name's Jensen, 28 male. I grew up in a working-class neighborhood outside of Cleveland. Dad was a machinist who worked the same factory for 32 years. Mom was an ER nurse who pulled double shifts to make sure we never went without. They taught me two things that stuck: work hard and don't let anyone treat you like a doormat. Dad used to say that respect isn't given, it's established. You teach people how to treat you by what you tolerate. I thought I got that. Turns out, knowing something and actually living it are two different things. I work in logistics and supply chain coordination for a regional distribution company. I spent my days managing freight schedules, negotiating rates with carriers, tracking shipments across 3 time zones, and fixing problems that happened when trucks broke down in the middle of nowhere. It was stressful work, the kind that gives you gray hairs at 25, but it paid well. I pulled in about 75 grand a year, which in our city meant I could afford a solid 2-bedroom apartment in a decent neighborhood and still put money away for the future. I met Fiona at a friend's wedding 4 years before the incident. She was a bridesmaid. I knew the groom from college. She was stunning in that way where she didn't seem to be trying too hard. Dark hair, bright eyes, a laugh that made you want to be funnier. She had this way of making you feel like you were the only person in the room when she focused on you. We dated for 2 years before I proposed. I did the whole thing right. Asked her father's permission, planned a trip to this overlook spot where we'd had our first real date, got down on one knee with my grandmother's ring. She said yes, cried. We celebrated. I thought I'd found my person. Fiona was 27. She worked part-time as a receptionist at a yoga studio downtown, maybe 20 hours a week. The rest of her time went into building her online presence as a lifestyle influencer. She had about 6,000 followers on Instagram when we got engaged, which she treated like she was on the verge of being discovered by some major brand any day now. I supported it. I paid for the ring light, the camera equipment, the backdrop for her photos, the subscription boxes she'd unbox on video. I figured she was chasing a dream, and that's what partners do. We moved in together 3 months after the engagement. The apartment was in my name because Fiona's credit was wrecked from some old student loans she'd defaulted on during her early 20s. She'd gone to a private college for communications, dropped out after 2 years, and the debt followed her around. No big deal, I figured. We were getting married anyway. I signed the lease solo, put the utilities in my name, handled the internet account. She was just an occupant on paper. Fiona said she was lucky to have me. At the time, I thought that was sweet. Looking back, I realized she was just relieved to find someone willing to carry the load. For the first 6 months, things were genuinely good. We found our rhythm. I worked long hours. She did her content creation thing. We spent weekends together exploring the city or binging shows on the couch. I paid most of the bills because I made more money and she was building her brand. I didn't mind. That's what you do when you're building a life with someone. Then Bridget showed up, Fiona's older sister. She was 30, divorced about a year prior, and had recently moved back to our city after burning through all her options elsewhere. She was one of those people who peaked in high school and spent the rest of her life trying to get back to that feeling. Former homecoming queen, head cheerleader, dated the quarterback, the whole thing. She married her college boyfriend at 22 in this huge wedding that her parents went into debt for. The marriage lasted 7 years before he finally got tired of being treated like a personal assistant who she occasionally slept with. I met the ex-husband once, briefly, at a family barbecue before the divorce was finalized. His name was Evan. He told me out of earshot of the family to watch how Bridget treated service workers. Said it would tell me everything I needed to know about the family dynamics. I didn't understand what he meant at the time. From what I gathered through various family conversations, Evan had asked for the divorce, not Bridget. He'd been planning his exit for over a year, quietly separating finances. When he finally pulled the trigger, Bridget was blindsided. She got the house in the settlement, sold it within 2 months, and blew through the money in about 6 more on. After that, she was between opportunities, which was her way of saying unemployed and too proud to admit it. She crashed with friends in her old city for a few months, burned those bridges, then rotated through various family members. By the time she moved back to our city and landed on our couch, she'd already worn out her welcome with 2 aunts and her parents. She hadn't held a real job in months and showed no signs of looking for one. The dynamic was toxic from day one. She had this way of making everything about her. If Fiona had a good day at work, Bridget had a story about how her day was harder. If I mentioned anything about my job, about the stress or the wins or anything at all, she would roll her eyes and make some comment about how corporate jobs were soul-crushing prisons for people without creativity. She didn't have a job herself, mind you. Hadn't had one since before the divorce finalized. But she had plenty of opinions about mine. She showed up 3 to 4 days a week, sometimes more. She'd let herself in with the spare key Fiona had given her without asking me. She'd eat food from our fridge, stuff I'd bought on my grocery runs. She'd leave dishes in the sink for days. She'd hog our TV watching whatever reality show she was into. She barely acknowledged my existence unless she needed something. 3 months into this arrangement, I'd had enough. I waited until one evening when Bridget had left, and I pulled Fiona aside. "Look," I said, keeping my voice calm. "I get that she's your sister, and she's going through a rough patch. But this has been going on for months. She's here all the time. She eats our food. She uses our utilities. Can we maybe set some limits? Like a schedule for visits? Or a timeline for when she's going to find her own place? Fiona's face went cold immediately. She's family, Jensen. She's going through the worst time of her life. Her marriage fell apart. She lost her house. I can't believe you're being this selfish. I'm not being selfish. I'm asking for basic boundaries. She ate an entire rotisserie chicken yesterday. By herself. That was supposed to be dinner for 2 nights. You're being petty. It's just food. I'm being practical. We're supposed to be saving for a wedding. We talked about a venue deposit next month. I can't save money when I'm feeding 3 people on 1 income while she contributes nothing. So this is about money. Nice? She crossed her arms. Real nice. It's about respect. I kept my voice level, even though I wanted to yell. She doesn't respect our space, our time, or our relationship. She makes comments about my job. She leaves her stuff everywhere. She never says thank you for anything. Fiona didn't respond for a long moment. Then she hit me with the line that should have sent me running. If you really loved me, you'd understand that family comes first. Always. Bridget won't be here forever. She just needs time to get back on her feet. If you can't handle supporting my family during a hard time, then maybe I don't know you as well as I thought I did. I dropped it. That was my first major mistake. Not because I was wrong, but because I let her twist reasonable boundaries into some kind of character flaw. That's how it starts. They test you with small stuff, see what you'll put up with, then push a little further, and a little further. One time, about 5 months in, Bridget borrowed my car because hers was in the shop, said she needed it for a job interview. I found out later there was no interview. She'd driven 40 miles to meet some guy from a dating app, racked up a parking ticket downtown, and returned my car with the gas light on. When I mentioned the ticket, she laughed and said I could probably afford it. Nothing changed after my conversation with Fiona. If anything, Bridget's presence got worse. There was a guy at my job named Owen. He was about 40, worked in vendor relations, and he was one of those people who seemed to know everyone in a 3-state radius. 20 years in the logistics industry meant he had contacts everywhere. Trucking companies, warehouse managers, port authorities, venue operators, you name it. If there was a connection to be made, Owen had probably already made it over lunch at some industry conference. More importantly, Owen was a genuinely good guy. He'd taken me under his wing when I started at the company, back when I was a 24-year-old kid. We grabbed lunch together at least once a week, and those conversations were often the best part of my day. Owen had also been through his own divorce about 8 years back. His ex-wife had cheated on him with his business partner, and the fallout had nearly destroyed him. He'd remarried a woman who actually appreciated him, and came out the other side with a lot of hard-won wisdom about relationships. He never said anything directly about Fiona and Bridget, but I could tell from the way he'd raise his eyebrows during my stories that he saw where this was heading long before I did. About 6 weeks before Fiona's birthday, Owen and I were grabbing lunch at this taco place near the office. I mentioned I was trying to find tickets to see the Midnight Echo. They were this indie synth-pop band that had been underground for years before their 3rd album went viral. Fiona was obsessed with them. She'd been playing their music constantly, had their poster in our apartment, followed every member on social media. They were doing a single show in our city as part of their tour, and tickets had sold out in literally minutes. Scalpers were asking $700 or $800 per ticket, which was insane for a band most people had never heard of 2 years ago. Owen leaned back in his chair. My brother-in-law works event security at that venue. Let me make a call. I told him not to go out of his way, but Owen was already texting. A week and a half later, Owen came through. 2 floor seats, not VIP but solid placement, for $450 total. Face value. In a market where scalpers were gouging people for 3 times that amount, this was huge. He wouldn't even let me pay him back for making the calls. You sure about this? He asked when he handed me the tickets. Big gesture for someone who's got her sister camped out on your couch. I told him it would be fine, that this was about me and Fiona, not Bridget. Owen just nodded, but I could tell he wasn't buying it. Said watching me try to navigate this relationship was payment enough. I kept the tickets secret for 3 weeks. The concert was scheduled for the Saturday after Fiona's birthday, which fell on a Wednesday. My plan was to give them to her on her actual birthday, so she'd have a few days to get excited. We'd make a whole night of it. Dinner at her favorite restaurant beforehand, the show, maybe dessert after at that rooftop spot she'd been wanting to try. Just the 2 of us. No Bridget, a real date night for the first time in months. Wednesday came. I left work early, stopped by her favorite bakery and picked up a small cake, I had the tickets printed out in an envelope with a card I'd written myself. Something simple about how much I loved her and how I couldn't wait to share this experience together. I got home around 5 p.m. Bridget was there. Of course she was. She was sprawled on my couch in what I'm pretty sure was Fiona's robe, scrolling through her phone with her feet on my coffee table. She didn't look up when I walked in. Fiona was in the bedroom doing her makeup for a birthday dinner we had planned with friends later that evening. "Hey," I said, setting down the cake and sliding the envelope across the dresser. "Happy birthday. Open this one first." She picked it up with curiosity. When she pulled out the tickets, her whole face lit up. Eyes wide, mouth open, genuine shock. "No way. The Echo? Floor seats? These are sold out everywhere. How did you even get these?" "I know a guy," I said, enjoying her reaction. "I thought we could make a real night of it. Dinner beforehand? The show? Maybe grab dessert after at that rooftop place you wanted to try." She jumped up and hugged me. For about 30 seconds, maybe 45, everything felt like it used to. Like we were actually a couple who loved each other, instead of two people going through the motions while her sister ate all our food. Then Bridget appeared in the doorway. "What's going on?" she asked, leaning against the doorframe with that annoyed look. "Jensen got me tickets to the Midnight Echo," Fiona said, holding them up. "Floor seats. For Saturday." Bridget's face went through a whole thing that I watched in real time. Surprise, then jealousy, then something that made my stomach tighten. She pushed off the doorframe and walked closer, actually taking one of the tickets from Fiona's hand to look at it. "Oh my God," she breathed. "You know I've been dying to see them, right? Remember, we used to listen to their first album in my car in high school? Before they were famous? This was our thing." I watched the shift happen. Fiona's eyes moved between me and her sister. "I remember," she said slowly. I caught the look they exchanged, but I didn't say anything because I figured even Fiona wouldn't be that bold. I was dead wrong. The conversation happened 2 days later, on Friday night. I was in the kitchen making dinner. Pasta with a creamy tomato sauce from scratch, garlic bread, Caesar salad. Bridget had been over every single day since the birthday, which wasn't unusual, but the vibe was different. She and Fiona kept having these hushed conversations that stopped the second I walked into the room. Around 7 p.m., Fiona came into the kitchen. "So I've been thinking about tomorrow," she started, leaning against the counter. I stirred the sauce. "What about it?" "Bridget is really struggling right now. The divorce stuff, not having her own place, the job search that keeps going nowhere. She's been really down lately." "Okay. And you know how much she loves the Echo. They were her favorite band before they were mine. She's the one who got me into their music back in high school." I put the spoon down and turned to face her. I could feel where this was going. "Where is this going, Fiona?" She did this dramatic sigh. "I think I should take Bridget to the concert instead of you." I stared at her. "She needs this more than you do," she continued. "You don't even know all their songs. You're just going to stand there while Bridget and I actually connect with the music. She's been through so much, and this could really boost her mood. She needs a win." I leaned against the counter and crossed my arms. "Let me make sure I'm hearing this right," I said. "I spent $450 on tickets for your birthday. I called in a favor from a coworker who went out of his way to help. I planned a date night for us. And you want to bring your sister instead? You're making it sound worse than it is. How should it sound?" She huffed, annoyed. "It's my gift. I should get to decide what I do with it. And if you really loved me, you'd want me to have the best time possible. Bridget will appreciate it more than you will. She actually gets the music." I felt something shift in my chest, like everything finally snapping into focus after staring at a blurry picture for 2 years. "What about what I want?" I asked. "What about the fact that I wanted to spend this night with you? That I planned this for us to actually have time together? Don't be selfish, Jensen. Bridget is family. She's blood. You and I can do something else some other time." There it was. I would always be below her sister. The guy who paid the bills and bought the gifts ranked lower than the woman who contributed nothing and took everything. Something just switched off inside me. "Fine," I said. I turned back to the stove. "Take Bridget. If that's what you want, go ahead." She blinked, surprised by how fast I gave in. "Really? You're okay with it?" "Yeah." She rushed over and hugged me from behind. I stood there, stiff, staring at the sauce bubbling on the stove. "Thank you so much. I knew you'd get it. You're the best. M." She was already pulling out her phone to text Bridget the good news. I didn't sleep that night. Not out of sadness, but because I was planning. See, here's what Fiona didn't know, or didn't bother to think about. The apartment was in my name. The lease, the utilities, the internet, everything. When we'd moved in together, her credit was too wrecked to be on anything official. She was just an occupant. I'd asked Owen's brother, who was a lawyer, about my situation early on. I just wanted to make sure I wasn't doing anything stupid. He told me I was on solid ground, though he reminded me every situation is different. The engagement ring was also still legally mine. She'd pushed for us to get it appraised and added to her insurance policy, but I dragged my feet on the paperwork. Kept saying I'd get to it next week. The ring was a family heirloom, my grandmother's diamond reset with a new band. My mother had given it to me with the understanding that if the engagement didn't work out, it came back to the family. It was worth about $8,000, and it was currently sitting in Fiona's jewelry box. Saturday morning, I called in sick to work. Fiona was at the yoga studio until noon, covering someone's shift. Bridget was wherever Bridget went when she wasn't on my couch. I made coffee, sat down at the kitchen table with a legal pad, and started making calls. First call was to Owen. I told him what happened. There was a long silence on the other end. She did what? Owen finally said. She's taking her sister. The sister who's been crashing on our couch rent-free for 8 months. He let out a slow breath. What do you need? I need to know if your wife's cousin still manages that apartment complex on the east side, the one with the month-to-month leases. 3 hours later, I had signed a lease for a one-bedroom unit starting that day. First month plus security deposit came out to about $1,900. I wrote the check without blinking. Second call was to my landlord. Our current lease had rolled month to month after the first year, which means I could get out with 30 days' notice. I called Dominic, explained I needed out now, and offered to pay a full month's rent as a penalty, plus forfeit my security deposit. You sure about this? Dominic asked. Sounds pretty final. I'm very sure. There was a pause. I'll have the place listed by Tuesday. Keys in the Dropbox by Sunday night. Third call was to a moving company that specialized in rush jobs. Saturday evening service while she was at the concert. 3 guys, 4 hours, $1,100. Then there was the ring. Fiona had this habit of taking it off when she showered. She kept it in her jewelry box on the dresser, right next to the perfume bottles and the earring tree. I waited until she was in the bathroom getting ready for the concert. I walked into the bedroom, opened the jewelry box, and took my grandmother's ring. I slipped it into my pocket and walked out. She never noticed. The afternoon dragged. Fiona was buzzing around the apartment trying on different outfits, video calling Bridget to coordinate their looks. She tried on 3 different dresses before settling on the black one I'd bought her for our anniversary dinner 6 months ago. I sat on the couch, pretending to watch TV, mentally running through everything in the apartment that belonged to me. Couch, TV, dining table and chairs, bed frame and mattress, the kitchen equipment, all mine. Fiona's contributions to the place were her clothes, her makeup, her yoga mats, and the pile of stuff Bridget had accumulated over 8 months of squatting. She arrived around 5 p.m. She walked in without knocking, like always, and barely glanced my way. Ready? She asked Fiona. Almost. Fiona came out of the bedroom. She grabbed her purse and headed for the door. She paused, looking back at me on the couch. We'll probably get food after the show, so don't wait up. There's leftovers in the fridge. Have fun, I said. It was the last fun she was ever going to have at my expense. The moving crew arrived at 6:30 p.m., exactly when I told them to. 3 guys in a white box truck. The foreman was a big dude named Ray, who looked like someone who'd loaded 1,000 apartments and nothing fazed him anymore. Gray beard, forearms like tree trunks. I met them in the parking lot and shook hands. So what's the deal? Ray asked as we walked toward the building. Just so I know what we're working with. I told him about it. Then I walked them through the apartment, pointing out what went and what stayed. Everything except the stuff in that corner, I said, gesturing to Fiona's belongings. That stays. Everything else goes. Ray looked at the pile, then scanned the rest of the apartment. The couch alone is probably worth more than all that combined. I'm aware. They worked fast. Within 90 minutes, the living room was stripped. Couch, gone. TV, gone. Coffee table, entertainment center, bookshelves, all loaded into the truck. The dining room went next. Table, chairs, the nice light fixture I'd bought to replace the ugly one the apartment came with. By 9 p.m., the apartment looked like a crime scene. Empty walls, dust outlines where furniture used to be. The only things remaining were Fiona's belongings, and one folding chair I left in the middle of the living room. I did a final sweep, checked every drawer, every closet, every cabinet, made sure I hadn't left anything behind that mattered. Then I got to the bathroom. I took the nice towels, the ones I'd bought at a home goods store when we moved in. I took the shower curtain. I took the bath mat and the toilet paper, because I'd just bought a 24-pack the week before, and I wasn't leaving that behind. I sat down at the kitchen counter, the only surface left in the apartment, and wrote the note on the back of an old electric bill. Fiona, she can have the tickets, and you can have the life you actually wanted. The lease is terminated. Dominic will be here Monday at 9 a.m. for the walkthrough. You have until then to get your stuff out. Do not contact me. The engagement is over. The ring belongs to my family and is back where it belongs. Good luck, Jensen. I left the note next to her keys. Then I locked the door, walked downstairs, and dropped my keys in Dominic's Dropbox. I drove to my new apartment, unpacked the essentials, ordered Chinese food from a place that delivered late, sat on my couch in my new quiet living room, and ate Kung Pao chicken while blocking every number I could think of. Fiona, Bridget, their mother, their aunt who I'd met once at Thanksgiving, every mutual friend who might try to play peacemaker. Then I turned off my phone and went to sleep. Best sleep I'd had in 2 years. The fallout started Sunday morning. Owen called me around 10 a.m., sounding impressed. "So it's done?" he asked. "It's done. Good for you, man. Seriously, that took guts. But you know she's going to come after you, right?" "I know. I'm ready." What I wasn't ready for was how fast they got organized. Around 2 p.m., I got a knock on my door. I hadn't told anyone my new address except Owen, my parents, and my landlord. I looked through the peephole and saw Fiona's mother, Michelle. I didn't open the door. "I know you're in there, Nathan." She knocked again, harder. "We need to talk about what you did to my daughter. She's sitting in an empty apartment with no furniture and nowhere to go. This is not how grown-ups handle problems." I stayed quiet. The knocking continued for about 10 minutes. She gave me a whole lecture through the door about responsibility, about commitment, about how I owed Fiona an explanation at the very least. When I didn't respond, she slipped a note under the door. "This isn't over. You owe Fiona an apology and the ring. Call me when you're ready to act like a man." I threw it in the trash. The next morning at work, I told Owen what happened with Michelle. He shook his head. "They tracked you down that fast?" "Her husband works for the city. Probably ran my new address through some database." "I don't know. Doesn't matter. She can knock all she wants." Owen leaned back in his chair. "You know what this means, right? They're freaking out. They expected you to cave. You didn't. Now they've got nothing." He was dead on. Everything that happened after that had the energy of people making it up as they went. Monday was more interesting. I got to work around 7:30, figuring an early start would help me focus. Around 10 a.m., I got a call from building security. "There's a woman at reception asking for you. Says she's your fiancé." "Ex-fiancé," I corrected. "Don't let her up. I'll come down." I took the elevator to the lobby. Fiona was standing near the security desk looking rough. Hair unwashed, sweats, red eyes. Bridget was with her, arms crossed, looking like she wanted to throw hands. "Jensen, we need to talk." "No, we don't. You can't just do this." Her voice cracked. "You can't disappear and leave me with nothing. We were supposed to get married." "We were." Bridget stepped forward. "You're crazy. Who does this? Who takes an engagement ring back?" I didn't take anything that wasn't mine. We weren't married. It was a family heirloom that comes back if the engagement ends. It ended. The ring came back. "You're gonna regret this," Bridget said. "I doubt it." Fiona started crying. "Jensen, please, I'm sorry. The concert thing was dumb, but you can't throw away 4 years over one mistake." I looked at her and felt nothing. "You told me your sister deserved it more, that I was just gonna stand there while you two actually enjoyed it. Those were your exact words." "I didn't mean it like that." "Yeah, you did." I turned and walked back toward the elevators. Security stepped forward to escort them out. "This isn't over!" Fiona shouted. I kept walking. The elevator doors closed. But it wasn't over. Not by a long shot. 2 days later, I got served at work. Fiona had found some bargain bin lawyer willing to write up a demand letter, claiming I owed her damages for the sudden move, emotional distress, and the ring. Owen's brother looked it over and called me that afternoon. "This is garbage. The ring's a conditional gift. Condition wasn't met. The apartment was in your name. She's got nothing." He sent a response letter that politely pointed out, I had 8 months of documented grocery receipts and utility payments that could easily be framed as supporting her unemployed sister. The demand letter went away within a week. But Bridget wasn't done being a pain. About a week after the lobby thing, I started getting weird calls at work. Someone would call the main line, ask to speak to me, then hang up when transferred. It happened 4 or 5 times before our receptionist, Dana, started screening. "There's a woman who keeps calling for you," Dana told me. "Won't give her name, won't leave a message." Sounds pretty hostile, honestly. I had a pretty good idea who it was. Bridget had nothing but time, and apparently decided to spend it making my work life annoying. Then, the social media stuff started. Fiona posted a long rant on Instagram about narcissistic partners and emotional abandonment. She didn't use my name directly, but she dropped enough details that mutual friends figured it out within hours. The post got about 200 likes and a flood of sympathetic comments from people who only knew her version. A few people from our shared friend group reached out asking for my side. I gave them the short answer. Most of them got it immediately. A couple thought I overreacted. One guy I barely knew sent me a long message about how I needed to work on my communication skills. I blocked him too. Here's the thing about these situations. Some people will always take the other side, no matter what. They've already decided who the bad guy is and nothing changes their mind. I stopped caring what any of them thought. The last thing happened over the next 2 months. Owen kept me posted through his network. Fiona and Bridget had moved. My parents refused to help when I was sick. Now they expect me to bankroll and raise my golden brother's abandoned kids. Sup, Reddit. 6 years ago, my parents told me to figure out my own medical crisis while they went on vacation. Last week, they showed up demanding I fund raising my brother's kids after he abandoned them via email. I gave them their own words back, and what followed was a complete shit show that exposed exactly who these people really are. I'm 31 male and haven't spoken to my parents in almost 6 years. Not a single word. No birthday calls, no holiday texts, no awkward run-ins at family gatherings, because I stopped going to those too. Complete radio silence. The breaking point? Type 2 diabetes diagnosis when I was 25, between jobs, and my insurance wouldn't cover the medication I literally needed to stay alive. But before we dive into that particular disaster, let me paint you a picture of my family dynamics, because this whole situation makes way more sense when you understand the pattern. My parents, Richard and Patricia, are your stereotypical suburban middle-class couple who spent 30 years building what they considered a comfortable retirement. Dad worked in manufacturing management, climbed the ladder over decades, ended up making decent money. Mom did accounting for a regional hospital network. Steady work with good benefits. They retired at 62 with a paid-off house in a nice neighborhood, 2 cars that were only a few years old, and enough retirement savings to take annual cruises without even blinking at the cost. They weren't struggling financially. Not even close. They had that comfortable middle-class retirement where you can afford pretty much anything you want within reason. The kind of retirement most people dream about. No mortgage, no debt, pension coming in, 401k sitting there as backup. They were set. My older brother Wyatt is 39, 8 years older than me. That age gap meant we were never really close growing up. By the time I was starting middle school and actually developing a personality, he was already moved out and doing his own thing. We existed in the same family but lived basically separate lives. Growing up, I always felt like the practice kid. You know how some families have that dynamic where the first kid gets all the attention and the second one just kind of exists? That was us. Wyatt was the golden child who could do no wrong. Every milestone he hit was celebrated like he'd cured something major. Meanwhile, I could bring home straight A's and get a pat on the head and a, "That's nice, dear." The favoritism was blatant, but nobody acknowledged it. When Wyatt needed money for anything, car repairs, rent assistance, whatever, my parents were there immediately with open checkbooks. When I needed help, suddenly it became a teaching moment about self-reliance and personal responsibility. I remember being 16 and needing $200 for a school trip. It was this educational thing all my friends were going. I'd been looking forward to it for months. My parents said no. Too expensive. They didn't see the value in it. I needed to learn that not everything in life gets handed to you. 2 weeks later, Wyatt asked for $800 to help with his security deposit on a new apartment. They gave it to him same day. When I pointed out the inconsistency, Dad said it was different because Wyatt was an adult with adult responsibilities. I was just a kid asking for vacation money. That kind of thing happened constantly. Different standards, different rules, different everything depending on which son you were talking about. I learned pretty early that I couldn't rely on them for support. Everything I got, I had to earn or fight for myself. Fast forward to when I was 25. I'd been working at this tech startup for about a year and a half. Not a huge company, maybe 30 employees, but it was growing and I was learning a lot. The pay was decent, benefits were okay, and I was building experience in my field. Then the funding dried up. Investors pulled out. Company couldn't make payroll, and we all got laid off with about 2 weeks' notice. Not ideal, but these things happen. The job market was decent at the time, so I wasn't panicking. Started applying places immediately, had my resume updated, began networking. The plan was to find something within a month or two, bridge the gap with savings, and move forward. Then I started feeling off, constantly thirsty, tired all the time, losing weight without trying, having to use the bathroom every hour. Classic diabetes symptoms, but I didn't recognize them at first. Thought maybe it was stress from the job loss. After 2 weeks of feeling progressively worse, I went to an urgent care clinic. They ran some tests, my blood sugar levels were through the roof, and the doctor looked at me with that expression medical professionals get when they're about to deliver bad news. You have type 2 diabetes, he said. Your A1C is 11.2. That's dangerously high. We need to get you on medication immediately. He wrote prescriptions for 2 different medications plus testing supplies. Told me I needed to check my blood sugar multiple times daily, follow a strict diet, and come back in 3 months for follow-up. Then he handed me the prescriptions and wished me luck. I took the scripts to the pharmacy, figuring they'd be expensive but manageable. The pharmacist ran them through my insurance, the COBRA coverage from my old job that I'd signed up for, and came back with a total that made my stomach drop. That'll be $847 for the month's supply of everything, she said cheerfully. $847 for 1 month. My unemployment benefits were $380 weekly. Even with budgeting, I was looking at maybe $1,600 monthly income. Rent alone was $850. This medication would take more than half of what I had left after housing. I asked about generic versions, discount programs, anything to bring the cost down. She tried a few things, got it down to $780. Still completely unsustainable. I told her I'd have to figure something out and left without the medications. That night, I spent hours researching options. Patient assistance programs that would take months to process. Discount cards that only worked at specific pharmacies. Canadian pharmacies that might be legit but also might not be. Nothing was going to solve my immediate problem of needing medication now and not being able to afford it. I had about $3,000 in savings. That was supposed to be my emergency fund for exactly this kind of situation. But if I spent it all on medication, I'd have nothing for rent, food, or the unexpected expenses that always pop up. I was looking at choosing between my health and having a place to live, so I did what any reasonable person would do when facing a genuine medical emergency with no good options. I called my parents, not asking for a handout, not expecting them to cover everything forever, just looking for temporary help while I got back on my feet. I explained the whole situation, the layoff, the diagnosis, the medication costs, how I had job interviews lined up but needed a bridge for maybe 3 to 4 months until I got hired somewhere with better insurance. I laid out actual numbers. If they could cover maybe $600 monthly for 3 months, that would give me enough breathing room to make everything else work. Dad's response came after about 5 seconds of silence. You're 25 years old, he said, voice flat. You need to figure some things out on your own. Don't rely on us just because we're your family. Mom was on speakerphone, and she jumped in with her addition. We've already raised you. You're an adult now. This is your responsibility to handle. I sat there stunned, phone pressed to my ear, trying to process what I was hearing. This was a medical emergency. I wasn't asking them to fund a vacation or buy me a car. I needed medication to not go into diabetic shock. And they were lecturing me about personal responsibility. So you're saying you won't help at all? I asked, just to be crystal clear. We're saying you need to learn to manage your own problems, Dad replied. We can't bail you out every time life gets difficult. Every time? I'd never asked them for major help before in my adult life. This was literally the first time I'd requested anything significant since moving out. I have diabetes, I said slowly, trying to make them understand. Without medication, I could end up in the hospital or worse. This isn't me being irresponsible or lazy. This is a genuine medical crisis. Then you'll figure out what you need to do, Dad said. We didn't raise you to come running to us whenever things get tough. Mom added her final gem. Maybe this is what you need to learn independence. We've spent too many years enabling you. Enabling me? By not helping me with anything? The logic was non-existent, but I was past the point of arguing. Got it, I said. Thanks for nothing. I hung up. That was September 2017. Last time we spoke until 6 weeks ago. Here's what happened in those 6 years. I figured it out on my own, just like they told me to. Sold my car and bought something cheaper, freeing up $200 monthly. Moved to a smaller apartment with a roommate I found through work, cutting rent in half. Applied to every patient assistance program that existed. Filled out mountains of paperwork. Waded through their processing times. Started buying medication from Canadian pharmacies at a quarter of the US price. Found websites that connected Americans with legitimate Canadian pharmacies that would ship across the border. Was it legal? Gray area. Did I care? Not even slightly. I was choosing between following pharmaceutical industry pricing schemes or staying alive. Pretty easy decision when you frame it that way. The first few months were rough. Managing diabetes while dealing with the stress of unemployment and family rejection was like juggling chainsaws while walking a tightrope. Blood sugar all over the place from the stress. Constantly worried about money, wondering if I'd made the right choices. But I handled it, found creative solutions, cut every possible expense, made it work through sheer determination. I landed a new job after 3 months of searching. The insurance was better, brought my medication costs down to manageable levels. I threw myself into work, proved myself valuable, and got promoted within a year. Then again, 2 years after that, built a reputation as someone reliable who delivered results. Met my now wife Natalie at a friend's barbecue when I was 27. She was smart, funny, had her life together, and didn't come with any family drama attached. We clicked immediately. Started dating, moved in together after a year, got engaged 6 months after that, bought a house when I was 28. Nothing fancy, but it was ours. 3 bedrooms, decent neighborhood, good schools nearby for the kids we were planning to have eventually. Got married at 29 in a small ceremony with Natalie's family and our close friends. My parents weren't invited. They didn't even know it happened until someone probably told them months later. Built an actual life. The kind of stable, successful life my parents always said they wanted for me. Just did it completely without their input or support. My parents? Didn't hear from them once. No calls, no texts, no attempts at reconciliation. They clearly meant what they said about me handling my own problems. Fine by me. Then 6 weeks ago, I got a text from a number I didn't recognize. Opened it to find a message from my mom. We need to talk. It's urgent. I stared at that text for a solid minute, sitting there on my couch with Natalie beside me watching a movie. 6 years of complete silence and now something suddenly urgent? My first instinct was to delete it and move on with my life. I didn't respond. She texted again 2 hours later. This is about your nephews. Please call. That got my attention. Wyatt had 2 kids. I knew that much from the occasional Facebook stalking I'd done over the years. Boys, ages 8 and 6 now. I'd never met them. Didn't even know their names until I looked at the Facebook photos Mom had posted over the years that I'd never bothered to engage with. They looked like normal kids, smiling in photos, playing at parks, the usual family stuff. I called, curiosity overcoming better judgment. Part of me wondered if something had happened to Wyatt. Part of me wondered if the kids were in danger. The responsible part of my brain kicked in despite my better judgment. Finally, Mom said when she answered. Not even a hello first. We've been trying to reach you for days. You sent 1 text 2 hours ago. 2. Well, this is serious. We need to talk about Wyatt's children. Can you come over? We should discuss this in person. I'm not driving to your house. Whatever you need to say it now. She sighed, like I was the one being difficult here. Fine. It's about the boys, your nephews. They've been living with us for the past 2 months. Okay? And we need help. We're not young anymore. Raising 2 children at our age is exhausting. Where's Wyatt? Another sigh. That's complicated. Uncomplicate it. She launched into the whole story then. Wyatt's wife Jennifer had died in a car accident 8 months ago. Some guy ran a red light, T-boned her car, she died at the scene. Tragic, horrible. The kind of thing nobody should have to go through. Wyatt had apparently been struggling to cope ever since. Started drinking heavily, according to Mom, though she said it in that tone that suggested she was downplaying the severity. Knowing Wyatt's history with substances, he'd had problems in his 20s that my parents had always excused. I suspected drinking heavily meant something pretty severe. Then 2 months ago, Wyatt sent my parents an email. Not a phone call. Not an in-person conversation. An email. Said he needed time to figure things out, that he couldn't handle being a parent right now, that the boys were better off with their grandparents while he got his head together, and then he just disappeared. Stopped responding to calls and texts. My parents had no idea where he was. Could be staying with friends, could be in a motel somewhere, could be halfway across the country for all they knew. He'd essentially abandoned his kids via electronic communication and vanished. Classy move, Wyatt. Really stepping up to the plate there. So what's the plan? I asked Mom. Is he coming back? Is this temporary or permanent? We don't know, she admitted. He's not responding to us. His phone goes straight to voicemail. We've had the boys for 2 months now and we're drowning. That sounds difficult. What do you want from me? We need you to help financially, she said, getting to the point. These boys need things. Food, clothes, school supplies, activities. We're looking at about $1,500 monthly for their expenses. Plus, we're having to look into therapy for them because they're obviously traumatized. I actually laughed. Couldn't help it. The situation was so absurd that laughter was the only appropriate response. You want me to send you $1,500 a month? These are your nephews. Your family. Family takes care of family. I actually laughed. Couldn't help it. You want me to send you $1,500 a month? These are your nephews. Family takes care of family. The irony was so thick I could have cut it with a knife. That's interesting, I said. Because 6 years ago, when I needed help with $800 monthly for medication, you told me to figure it out on my own. Said you wouldn't bail me out every time life gets difficult. Silence on the other end. That was different, Mom finally said. How? Explain to me how it was different. You were an adult who needed to learn responsibility. These are children. So when I was between jobs with a medical emergency, that was a teaching moment. But when Wyatt abandons his kids, that's when family steps up. This isn't about keeping score. Dad's voice came through. Apparently I was on speaker. These boys need help. Then help them. You're retired with money in the bank. You told me you couldn't help with $600 monthly when I was literally sick. Now you're asking for $1,500 for kids that aren't even my responsibility? We're on a fixed income, Mom said. We can't afford to raise 2 children. So figure it out on your own. Don't rely on me just because we're family. I used their exact words back at them. The silence that followed was beautiful. That's different, and you know it, Dad said, voice tight. How? Please explain how this is different from what you told me 6 years ago. Because we actually helped you when you were growing up, Mom snapped. We raised you, fed you, put a roof over your head for 18 years. You owe us. I owe you? For doing the literal bare minimum that parents are legally required to do? You chose to have kids. That's not some debt I need to repay. We're not asking you to raise them, Dad said. Just help financially while we figure out a long-term solution. And what happens when there's no long-term solution? What happens when Wyatt doesn't come back and these kids need to be raised for the next 10 years? You think I'm going to keep sending checks? Your brother is going through something difficult, Mom said. He'll get himself together. Maybe this is what he needs to learn independence, I said, throwing her words from 6 years ago right back at her. Maybe you've spent too many years enabling him. Don't be cruel, she said. I'm not being cruel. I'm being exactly as supportive as you taught me to be. Remember? You can't bail people out every time life gets difficult. This is completely different, Dad said. These are innocent children. Then be their grandparents. Use your comfortable retirement savings that you couldn't spare $600 from 6 years ago. You'll figure it out. We need your help, Mom said, and I could hear the desperation creeping into her voice. No, you need my money. There's a difference. You don't actually want me involved in these kids' lives. You just want me to fund their existence while you two maintain your lifestyle. That's not fair, she protested. You're right. It's not fair. Just like it wasn't fair when you told your diabetic son to figure it out alone while you went on a cruise. But here we are. We didn't go on a cruise right after that, Dad said. 3 months later. Close enough. The point is, you had money for vacations, but not for medication. Now you have money for your retirement, but not for your grandkids. Funny pattern. If you won't help, just say so, Mom said coldly. I won't help. There. I said it. Then you're exactly as selfish as we thought. Good. I learned from the best. I hung up before they could respond. Natalie had been listening to the whole conversation. She walked over and hugged me, and I realized my hands were shaking. You okay? She asked. Yeah, just didn't expect that to feel so satisfying. She laughed. You gave them back everything they gave you. 6 years, I said. 6 years of nothing. And they show up asking for money like we're suddenly family again. The next week, they tried a different approach. Mom called and left a voicemail that was clearly rehearsed. Her voice was breaking in all the right places. Emotional but calculated, hitting every manipulation beat perfectly. Sweetie, it's Mom. I've been thinking a lot about our conversation, about what happened 6 years ago. And you're right. We should have helped you. We should have been there when you were sick. I don't know what we were thinking. Maybe we were scared. Maybe we didn't understand how serious it was. But we failed you. And I'm sorry for that. Pause for dramatic effect. Sniffle. I know I can't take back what happened. I know we hurt you. But this is a chance for us to move forward as a family. To do the right thing together. These boys need us. They need all of us. Please call me back so we can talk about this properly. I love you. I played that voicemail for Natalie. She looked at me with raised eyebrows. That's possibly the most manipulative thing I've ever heard, she said. She's not even apologizing for what they did. She's apologizing for your feelings about it. Sorry we failed you, I said. Not sorry for telling me to handle my medical emergency alone. Not sorry for going on a cruise 3 months later. Just sorry that I felt bad about it. And immediately followed by asking for money again? Classic non-apology. I'm sorry, but here's why you should do what I want anyway. I didn't call back. The message had been carefully crafted to hit emotional buttons while avoiding actual accountability. If she genuinely wanted to apologize, she would have done it without immediately pivoting back to their demands. 3 days later, they showed up at my house. Just appeared on my doorstep Saturday morning like they had any right to be there. Natalie answered the door while I was in the shower. Came upstairs looking equal parts annoyed and amused. "Your parents are here," she said. "Should I tell them to leave or do you want to handle this?" "I'll handle it," I said, getting dressed. "This should be interesting." I went downstairs to find them sitting in my living room like they owned the place. Dad was looking around at the furniture, the TV, the framed pictures on the walls, assessing everything, calculating what my life was worth. Mom was perched on the edge of the couch, clutching her purse like she was afraid something might jump out at her. "Nice place," Dad said when he saw me. "Doing well for yourself. Must be nice having all this while your nephews struggle." "Right. Starting with guilt trips immediately. Classic move." "What do you want?" I asked, not bothering to sit down. "We want to talk," Mom said. "Have an actual conversation instead of fighting over the phone. We drove an hour to get here. The least you can do is hear us out. There's nothing to talk about. I'm not giving you money. You could have saved the trip. We're not just asking for money," Dad said, leaning forward. "We're asking you to step up for family. These boys are your nephews, whether you acknowledge them or not. They've lost their mother. Their father abandoned them. They need stability and support. And I'm your son, whether you acknowledge it or not. Didn't seem to matter 6 years ago when I needed stability and support." Mom's expression hardened. "You're really going to hold that over us forever? We made one mistake and you're going to punish us for the rest of our lives? One mistake? You told your diabetic son to figure out his medical crisis alone. That wasn't a mistake. That was a choice. You chose your comfort over my health." "We made a mistake," she repeated, like saying it again would change reality. "We admit that, but you can't seriously compare helping with medication to raising 2 traumatized children. The situations aren't even remotely similar." "You're right. One situation involved $600 monthly for 3 months, $1,800 total. The other involves $1,500 monthly for years, potentially. Tens of thousands of dollars. Maybe more. The expensive one you want help with. The cheap one you couldn't be bothered." "Money isn't the point," Dad said, voice rising slightly. "Money is exactly the point. You have enough to raise these kids. You just don't want to spend your retirement savings on them. You want me to fund it so you can keep your lifestyle intact. The cruises, the comfortable retirement, all of it." "That's not true," Mom protested, but her voice lacked conviction. "Then use your own money. You're not broke. You're comfortable. You have savings, pensions, paid off assets. Prove me wrong." They couldn't. We all knew they had the resources. They just didn't want to use them. The silence stretched out, heavy and uncomfortable. "What about the boys?" Mom finally asked. "Don't you care what happens to them? They're innocent in all of this. They didn't ask for any of this to happen. I care that they're in a bad situation. I don't think that situation is my responsibility to fix financially. Wyatt abandoned them. That's on him. You're their grandparents who spent years enabling his behavior. That's on you. I'm their uncle they've never met because you cut me out of your lives. That's not on me. Family is family," Dad said, pulling out what he probably thought was his trump card. "You're right. And when your family member had a medical emergency, you told him to handle it alone. Told him he needed to learn responsibility. Told him you wouldn't bail him out just because life got difficult. When your other family member spent his entire adult life making bad decisions, you enabled every single one. Gave him money whenever he asked. Made excuses for his failures. And now you're shocked that he turned out to be someone who abandons his kids via email. We did the best we could with both of you," Mom said. "No, you did the best for Wyatt and told me to figure it out. Different standards, different rules. Same pattern my whole life. We went back and forth like this for another 20 minutes. Every angle they tried, I shut down. Every guilt trip, I redirected with their own logic from 6 years ago. Every attempt to paint me as the bad guy got flipped back onto them. Dad tried the practical approach. These boys will remember who was there for them and who wasn't. You're building resentment that will last forever. Like the resentment I built when you told me to figure out my medical crisis alone? That kind of lasting resentment? Mom tried the emotional manipulation. We're getting older. We won't be around forever. You'll regret this when we're gone. You know what I'll actually regret? Not standing up for myself 6 years ago. Not calling you out on your selective support. Not recognizing sooner that you only consider me family when you need something." Dad stood up, clearly frustrated. "This conversation is going nowhere. You've made your decision. You're choosing to abandon these children. I'm choosing not to enable Wyatt's irresponsibility with my money. Same way you chose not to enable my medical needs with yours. Full circle. Eventually, they realized they weren't getting anywhere and left. Mom stood up, gathered her purse, looked around my house one more time, like she was cataloging everything she could use against me later. As they walked to the door, she turned around one final time. "You've changed," she said, voice cold. "You used to be such a sweet boy, so kind and caring. I don't even recognize you anymore." Yeah, well, life changes people. Especially when your parents tell you to figure out life-threatening medical issues on your own. Turns out that kind of abandonment really builds character. We didn't abandon you. You told your diabetic son with no insurance that you wouldn't help with medication costs because he needed to learn responsibility. What would you call that? She didn't have an answer. They left, and I watched them drive away from my window. Natalie came and stood beside me. "That was intense," she said. "That was necessary. They needed to understand that I'm not going to fold just because they show up and demand things. Do you think they'll keep trying? Probably. People like them don't accept no easily. They're used to getting what they want through guilt and manipulation." I was right. That was 2 weeks ago. Since then, I've gotten texts from extended family members I barely know. Aunts and uncles who haven't spoken to me in years suddenly have very strong opinions about my obligations. Cousins I met maybe twice at childhood birthday parties are lecturing me about family values. The messages follow predictable patterns. Those poor boys need help. How can you be so heartless? Your parents raised you, and this is how you repay them. Family takes care of family. Nobody asks why my parents with a comfortable retirement and paid-off house need financial help from their son. Nobody questions why Wyatt abandoned his children or where he disappeared to. Nobody wonders why I went 6 years without contact with my family or what might have caused that. Just blanket assumption that I'm the bad guy. One aunt sent me a multi-paragraph text about how blood is thicker than water and how I should be the bigger person. I didn't respond. Another uncle called me directly, left a voicemail about how disappointed my grandparents would be if they were still alive to see me turn my back on family. That one almost made me laugh. My grandparents always liked Wyatt better too. Pattern recognition isn't that hard. The most aggressive messages came from my mom's sister. 5 texts in one day, each one more guilt-trippy than the last. Started with gentle persuasion.
"His real home is wherever I say it is until he's 18, Lisa said. "And right now, that's your house. You're being cruel. I'm being a parent." David's face twisted. "You've changed. Ever since you married him." He pointed at me. "You were never like this before. Always supportive. Always understanding. Now you're cold. Hard. This isn't you." "Maybe it should have been," Lisa said. "Maybe if I'd been harder earlier, Dylan wouldn't be in a hospital bed. Maybe if I'd held him accountable instead of making excuses, he'd have learned consequences before things got this bad. Or maybe if you'd chosen your kids over your new husband, they wouldn't be falling apart." The police car pulled up. Same officer as before. He recognized David immediately. "Mr. Brenner, we talked about this yesterday. I'm trying to talk to my ex-wife about our son who's in the hospital, and she's asked you to leave her property, so you need to go. Now. Or I'll arrest you for trespassing." David looked between the three of us, his face red, hands clenched into fists. "This isn't over," he said. "Yes, it is," the officer replied. "Leave. Now." David got in his truck and drove away. The officer took our statement, gave us a case number, told us to call immediately if David came back again. "He's escalating," the officer said. "That's concerning. You might want to consider a restraining order." We went inside and locked the new locks behind us. Lisa sat on the couch and put her face in her hands. "I need this to stop," she said. "I need all of it to just stop." My phone rang. "Patricia, our lawyer. David just filed for emergency custody," she said, claiming Lisa abandoned the children and they're in danger in her care. "We have a hearing Friday morning." "Dylan's in the hospital," I said. "How is that Lisa's fault?" "It's not. But David's arguing that Lisa's actions caused Dylan's mental health crisis. He's also claiming she's being unduly influenced by you, trying to paint you as the villain. Can he win? Not with the evidence we have, but we need to be prepared. I'll file our response tomorrow. Make sure you're both at the courthouse Friday at 9. We'll be there." I hung up and told Lisa. She just nodded, too exhausted to even be surprised. "How did it come to this?" she asked. "How did we go from normal family problems to lawyers and court dates and hospital visits in less than a week?" "Because you finally said enough," I replied. "And people who've never faced consequences don't know how to handle them." The next 3 days were a blur. Dylan was released from the hospital with a referral for outpatient therapy. David picked him up. Sophia sent Lisa daily texts begging to come home. David sent lawyer letters threatening everything from custody modification to suing me for alienation of affection. Patricia kept filing responses, kept building our case, kept telling us to stay calm and let the evidence speak. Friday morning arrived. We dressed like we were going to a funeral, Lisa in a conservative dress, me in my only suit. We met Patricia at the courthouse at 8:30. Remember, she said, don't react, don't get emotional. Answer questions honestly and briefly. Let me do the talking. The hearing was in family court, small courtroom, Judge Anderson presiding. Middle-aged woman with tired eyes who'd probably seen every family drama imaginable. David showed up with his own lawyer. Candace was with him. Dylan and Sophia were not, probably not allowed since they were minors. David's lawyer went first, painted Lisa as an unfit mother who'd chosen her new husband over her children. Claimed Dylan's suicide attempt was direct result of Lisa's abandonment. Brought up every little thing. Times Lisa had worked late. Times she'd missed school events. Times she'd been tired or distracted. Made her sound like a monster. Then it was Patricia's turn. She stood slowly, placed the investigator's report in front of the judge, started walking through everything. The parties, the theft, the fraud, the credit cards, the gambling, the lies. Mrs. Brenner didn't abandon her children, Patricia said. She removed them from a situation where they were engaging in criminal activity and placed them with their father as per their custody agreement. She's not denying access. She's requiring accountability. The judge looked through the documents. Her expression didn't change. She asked Lisa a few questions, asked me a few questions, asked David why he hadn't noticed his son opening fraudulent credit cards. David didn't have a good answer. Mr. Brenner, the judge said finally, your son committed multiple counts of fraud and theft. Your daughter was truant from school and involved with an adult man. These are serious issues that require serious intervention. Mrs. Brenner responded appropriately by removing them from a home where they had access to commit more crimes and placing them in your care. That's not abandonment. That's good parenting. David's lawyer tried to argue. The judge held up her hand. As for Dylan's hospitalization, I've reviewed the medical records. The attending psychiatrist noted the attempt appeared to be a gesture rather than a genuine effort. Dylan received appropriate care and was released with no recommendation that he return to his mother's home. In fact, the psychiatrist recommended continued separation while Dylan works through his behavioral issues in therapy. She closed the folder, looked at David with an expression that could freeze lava. Your emergency motion is denied. The current custody arrangement stands. Dylan and Sophia will remain in your primary care until such time as Mrs. Brenner determines they're ready to return, or until they turn 18. You're responsible for ensuring they attend school, follow through with therapy, and don't engage in further criminal activity. If you find that too difficult, perhaps you'll gain some appreciation for what Mrs. Brenner has been dealing with. She banged her gavel. We're done here. David's face went purple. He started to say something, but his lawyer grabbed his arm and pulled him toward the door. Candace followed, looking like she wanted to be anywhere else. Lisa and I sat there stunned. Patricia packed up her briefcase with a small smile. That went well, she said. We left the courthouse in a daze. Got to the car. Lisa started laughing. Not happy laughter. The slightly hysterical kind that comes when you've been holding everything in for too long. We won, she said. We actually won. You won, I corrected. You stood up for yourself and the judge saw it. I thought for sure she'd say I was terrible, that I had to take them back. The law is on your side. You did nothing wrong. We went home. Lisa changed out of her dress into sweats and laid on the couch. I made her tea and sat with her while she processed everything. What happens now? She asked. Now David has to actually parent his kids, and Dylan and Sophia have to live with consequences. Do you think they'll learn? I don't know. Maybe, maybe not. But that's not your responsibility anymore. Her phone buzzed. Text from Sophia. Lisa showed it to me. Mom, Dad says we have to stay with him forever. Is that true? I want to come home. Lisa typed slowly. It's not forever, but it's for now. You need to work on yourself. Be honest. Make better choices. When you're ready, we'll talk about you coming back. But that could be months, maybe longer. I love you. 3 dots appeared, then disappeared. No response. That was hard, Lisa said. Being a parent is hard. I thought the hard part was potty training and teaching them to read. Turns out the hard part is letting them fail and not rushing in to fix it. 2 weeks passed. Dylan and Sophia stayed with David. We heard through other people that it wasn't going well. David's apartment was small. 2 bedrooms for 4 people. Candace had moved out after a week, saying she couldn't handle the tension. Dylan was going to therapy but apparently not talking. Sophia was back in school but struggling. David called Lisa once, asked if she could take them for a weekend, give him a break. Lisa said no. You wanted full custody, she told him. You got it. Figure it out. He hung up on her. My phone buzzed one evening. Unknown number. I almost didn't answer, but something made me. Tom, it was Dylan. Can I talk to you? I'm listening. I want to apologize. For real this time. Not because I want something, just because I was wrong. About everything. The way I treated you. The stealing. The parties. All of it. I waited, listening to him breathe on the other end. Living with Dad is awful, he continued. He doesn't care about anything. Just wants us to be quiet and stay out of his way. Candace left because of us. He blames us for everything. And I realized that you never did that. You actually tried. I just treated you like crap because I could. Why are you telling me this? Because I want to understand something. Why did you try so hard? You weren't my dad. You didn't have to do anything. But you paid for stuff and showed up and acted like you cared. Why? I thought about that. About my own father leaving. About growing up without that presence. About wanting to be different. Because I knew what it felt like to not have someone, I said. And I didn't want you to feel that way. But we made you feel that way instead. Yeah, you did. I'm sorry, he said. And this time it sounded real. I know that doesn't fix anything. But I am. What are you going to do about it? What do you mean? Sorry is just a word, Dylan. What are you going to do differently? He was quiet for a long time. I don't know. I'm trying to figure that out in therapy. The therapist says I have a lot of issues with anger and control. Says I push people away before they can leave me. Apparently that's because of my parents' divorce. That might explain your behavior. It doesn't excuse it. I know. She says that too. Says I'm responsible for my choices even if I have reasons for making them. She's right. Tom? His voice got small. Do you think Mom will ever let us come home? That depends on you. On real change, not promises. Not temporary good behavior. Actual sustained effort over months. How do I do that? You show up. You do the work. You're honest. You respect boundaries. You prove through actions that you're different. And maybe eventually, you earn trust back. But there's no guarantee. Even if I do everything right, even then, some things can't be fixed. He was quiet again. Okay, thanks for being honest. Dylan, yeah? I hope you figure it out. I really do. Because underneath all the crap behavior, I think there's a decent kid in there somewhere. I'll try, he said. That's all I can do. Right? Try. That's all any of us can do. He hung up. I sat there holding my phone and wondering if that conversation meant anything or if it was just another manipulation. Time would tell. Lisa came home from work an hour later. I told her about the call. She listened without interrupting. Do you believe him? She asked. I don't know. Part of me wants to. Part of me thinks it's another game. Me too. She kicked off her shoes. I got a call from the credit card companies today. They're pressing charges. Dylan's going to have to go to court. How do you feel about that? Relieved? Is that terrible? I feel relieved that someone else is holding him accountable so I don't have to be the bad guy. That's not terrible, that's human. A month passed. Then 2. Dylan went to court, got probation and community service and had to pay restitution. The credit card debt was erased since he was a minor, and it was fraudulent, but he owed Lisa and me directly. Judge ordered him to get a job and make payments. He got hired at a fast food place. Started paying us back $20 a week. It would take years to cover the full amount, but it was something. Sophia asked to come home for Christmas. Lisa said no. We spent Christmas just the two of us. Quiet, peaceful, sad in a way, but also freeing. David sent a bitter text about how we'd destroyed his holiday by refusing to take the kids even for a day. Lisa blocked his number. Spring came. Dylan was still working, still going to therapy, still living with David. Sophia had brought her grades up, was talking about college. Both of them sent occasional texts. Always respectful now, always careful. Lisa responded sometimes. Short messages, keeping distance but not completely cutting them off. I think they're actually changing, she said one evening. Not just pretending. Maybe. You still don't believe them? I think people can change. I'm just not sure these particular people will. 3 months later, Dylan called Lisa, asked if he could come by to talk, in person. Lisa looked at me for permission, which was weird because this was her son and her house, but I understood why she did it. It's okay, I said. I'll be here. Dylan showed up Saturday afternoon. He'd gotten taller, filled out a little, looked older somehow. He stood on the porch with new locks he couldn't open and waited for Lisa to let him in. She did. He walked into the house like it was a stranger's place, looked around at everything, the replaced lamp, the cleaned couch, the space that used to be his home. Thank you for seeing me, he said. Lisa nodded, gestured to the couch. He sat. We sat across from him in chairs, waiting. I've been in therapy for 4 months now, Dylan started. Learning a lot about myself, about why I did the things I did, about how much I hurt people, especially you guys. He looked at me. Tom, I treated you like garbage, made your life miserable when you were just trying to help. I stole from you, disrespected you, made it clear I didn't think you mattered, and I'm sorry. Really sorry. Not because I want something, just because it's true. I didn't say anything, just listened. I've paid back $320 so far, he continued. I know that doesn't cover what I took, but I'm still working, still making payments. My therapist says it'll take me about 3 years to pay everything back at this rate. I'm okay with that. Why? Lisa asked. Why am I okay with it? Why are you doing this? The therapy, the job, the payments. Why now? Dylan leaned back. Because living with Dad showed me what the alternative looks like. He doesn't care about me. Not really. Candace left because she couldn't handle us. Dad just wants us gone. He counts down the days until I turn 18 and he can kick me out. Every day, he makes it clear we're a burden. And I realized that's what I did to you guys. Treated you like a burden. Made you miserable. And you still tried. Dad doesn't try. That's the difference. So this is about Dad being worse than us? I asked. No. It's about me realizing that you guys actually loved me even when I didn't deserve it. And I threw that away because I was angry about the divorce and scared of being replaced and just generally being a selfish asshole. Lisa made a sound that might have been a laugh or a sob. I can't undo what I did, Dylan said. I know that, but I want to do better, be better. I'm not asking to move back in. I know I'm not ready for that, but I wanted you to know I'm trying, and I'm going to keep trying. He stood up. That's all I came to say. Thanks for listening. Lisa walked him to the door. He turned back before leaving. Mom, I love you. I know I didn't show it, but I do. I love you too, Lisa said. I never stopped. He left. Lisa closed the door and leaned against it, crying. I held her. Do you think he meant it? She asked. I think he's figuring out who he wants to be. Whether he sticks with it long enough to actually change? That's the question. 6 more months passed. Dylan kept working, kept therapy, kept paying us back. Never asked to move home, just sent updates. Grades from the online classes he was taking to graduate on time. Photos of his Employee of the Month award. Small things that showed effort. Sophia asked to come home for her 16th birthday. Lisa said maybe. Asked what Sophia had learned. What had changed? Sophia sent a 3-page letter, handwritten, about how she'd been following the wrong people, making bad choices because she thought it made her cool, how she'd hurt people, how she was sorry. Lisa read it 5 times, then called Sophia and told her she could come home for a trial period. 1 month, summer break, we'd see how it went. Sophia cried on the phone, thanked Lisa over and over, promised she'd be different. She moved back in June, nervous, walking on eggshells, following every rule, doing chores without being asked, spending time with Lisa, trying to rebuild. It was awkward, tense, but not terrible. Dylan called every week, never asked to come home, just talked about work, about therapy, about his plans for after high school. Lisa gradually relaxed into the conversations, started offering advice, started sounding like his mom again instead of a stranger. 1 year after the party, 1 year after everything fell apart, Lisa and I were having dinner when her phone rang. Dylan, Mom, I need to ask you something. What's up? I got accepted to community college for fall. I want to study computer science, but I need help with financial aid forms. Could you help me fill them out? Lisa looked at me. I nodded. Of course, she said. Come over this weekend. We'll work on it together. Dylan showed up Saturday morning. Sophia was there. They hugged. Awkward at first, then real. We all sat around the kitchen table, filling out FAFSA forms, talking about classes and schedules and possibilities. It felt almost normal. When Dylan was leaving, he stopped at the door, looked at me. Tom, I still owe you $1,280. I'm going to keep paying, but I wanted you to know I'm grateful you didn't give up on Mom when everything went sideways. She deserves someone who has her back. You do that. I didn't know what to say, so I just nodded. He left. Lisa came and stood next to me. We watched him drive away in the car David had bought him, third hand and barely running. Think we'll be okay? She asked. I think we already are. Sophia graduated high school the next year. Dylan finished his associate's degree. Both of them working, both paying their own way. Both respectful, both changed in ways that seemed real. They'd never live with us again. That chapter was closed, but they were back in our lives, carefully, with boundaries, with mutual respect.